Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Final Fantasy Wiki podcast adventure power hour, etc., whatever we choose to call this, part 5. And now we are going back in time to Final Fantasy XII. We started at 15, we then went to 14, now we're at 12. We've missed nothing. There are no games that we've skipped over. We are now going back sequentially. So, my name is Eric Fuchs. No, it is true.
Skipped over 12 Revenant Wings.
No, Revenant Wings didn't happen either. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
My name is Eric Fuchs, also known as BlueHighwind, and I'm joined tonight by the regular cast, none of those Final Fantasy XIV scrubs that came last week. You guys, introduce yourselves.
Hi, my internet name is Scathe.
Hi, Scathe.
Hello. I am Technobliterator.
Hi, Technobliterator. Is that all you have to share with the class?
Yes.
That is indeed.
I found this worm in the dirt the other day. You want to do some show and tell?
Yeah. I could tell you about the giant turd that's up the block from my office. It's like too big for a dog, so I think a human had to have pooped it. And nobody will clean it. I'm not cleaning it. Nobody in the neighborhood will. Anyway, we are joined here tonight not for a giant turd, but just the very opposite. This is the remake of Final Fantasy XII, called the Zodiac Age, right?
Zodiac Age, yeah.
Zodiac Age, alright. I didn't want to call it by the Final Fantasy Tactics remake name, which was War of the Lions. So it is not Final Fantasy XII War of the Lions, it's Final Fantasy XII the Zodiac Age. The Age of Aquarius. But first, let's do news. Anyone have any news?
We have two things of news on the docket.
Really?
Yes, the first thing is this terrible mobile game called Final Fantasy XV, The New Empire. Nobody cares.
Yes, nobody cares. Also, that game was not even made by Square. They licensed it, but they have nothing to do with it. So, we are going to ignore its existence, just like Square Enix is.
But Square Enix is making money off of it. Should we ignore it?
Yes.
Okay, good.
There may be, but
Alright,
it's like...
I think
we're nothing to do with it.
We're all agreed. We're going to ignore it, so let's ignore it. Next thing is there's a Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer. Came out this weekend. Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yes, and it looks very good.
Yep.
Like, it literally looks like you're playing a Pixar film. It's that good.
Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out in 2018, but will then be delayed to 2019. Yeah. Nobody believes it'll actually be out in 2018.
Like, we will see how many cameos of Final Fantasy characters it has in it, but like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen any Final Fantasy cameos in the KH3 footage we've seen so far.
Well, they don't really advertise the Final Fantasy cameos usually. They're not like a big selling point. They're just an extra. Yeah,
that's true.
So Square Enix never fails to meet its deadlines, because as we know, Final Fantasy 15 came out in August, just advertised, right?
Yeah, August 2008.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whenever it originally came out. So anyway, let's rewind back to the year 2006. Before any of us were part of this wiki, there was a game that came out called Final Fantasy XII, which was the 12th game in the Final Fantasy series. And I assume...
No, it wasn't.
Yes, well, there was a 12th game that married. It was the 24th game in the Final Fantasy series. Let's go with it.
Yeah, it was about that or something like that.
I'm not sure.
There were a lot of games.
We could do a count, but it'd be very boring. But Technobliterator, you weren't born yet, so you don't really know what your thoughts were at the time. But me and Scathe, we both played this around the time, and I guess we have original thoughts about that game. Scathe, you can go first.
It's okay, yeah. I played this game on release in 2006, but it was a 2006 great year. Great, you know, last time the Democrats ever won an election, a midterm election. it was good, and then Final Fantasy XII was actually, in terms of like middle school games, it's like one of my favorite games, along with Majora's Mask and the original Kingdom Hearts. I played this game a lot, and it's one of my favorite games. In terms of, there's definitely some problems with it. It's not a perfect game, but it's definitely the last great game Square Enix released, I believe.
Well, Japanese Square Enix. Oh, and Nier Automata.
That's not made by Square Enix.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's
just
Cavia. Well, what about Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn Stormblood, which we were talking about last week?
Okay, well, I never played that. Is it
All right, good. All right, that doesn't count either because it's an MMO. Simple enough. Should I go or should Techno go? Who wants to go?
I think you go.
Okay.
I'll go after that.
All right. As you may know, I've actually written a walkthrough of Final Fantasy XII, which you should never read. So don't. Now that you haven't, that's very good. I really like Final Fantasy XII. I originally played it when it came out and was weirded out by the game and the controls and Vaughn and everything else. But then a year later, I joined this wiki for whatever reason and then started playing Final Fantasy XII, and it was a great game back then. That was what I thought JRPGs should have been. I thought that game was a paradigm shift, and from then on, Final Fantasy games will just get better and better. They'll have more mature plots, they'll have better battle systems. The future just couldn't be brighter. And 10 years later, it's just been disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. And I've just been getting sadder and sadder. And
Hey, Persona 5 was released this year.
well, yeah, but that's not a Final Fantasy game. That's allowed to be its own thing. Yeah, like, not all games need to be like Final Fantasy 12. I'd say the battle system was great and revolutionary, but maybe was halfway to what it needs to be. Like, you could build a modern game off of that system, do something incredible with it, like make a real great real-time strategy kind of JRPG mix, not Revenant Wings, something a bit more like 12.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, something flashier, something with positioning. I can see all kinds of things that could be done with it. And then Square Enix never did jack. They did 13, that was nothing like it. Then they did 15, and, I don't think anyone likes 15 anymore. The honeymoon's over. Techno, you still like 15?
Yeah. I was going to say more on that subject in a bit when it was my go, but okay.
I mean, it is your go now. I'm kind of done. I rambled for a minute.
Okay. So, I did not play 12 when it came out.
Because you weren't born yet.
But contrary to what BlueHighwind says, I was born at the time. Okay. So, I played 12 actually a lot later than they did. I did not play it on PS2. I emulated it because I didn't have a PS2 at the time.
Fancy.
I played it. I played it long after I'd played the other games in the series, and I'd heard so many good things going in. Now, for the record, I am aware that outside of our echo chamber in the wiki community, 12 is a bit more divisive. I'm aware that if you go on some forums, you'll probably find lots of people are unsure about, have mixed feelings on 12, because for some people, the battle system didn't really do it for them. They didn't like the political plot that much. 12 is not everyone's thing, so I was aware of that, but the wiki community, they fawned over 12, and so I'd heard so many good things going in, and once I went in, I was proven right, I adored the game, I love the plot. It seemed so much different from the rest of the series, which I loved. Different in ways the plot, again, it's not the kind of plot you'd get in 10 or 7 or something where it's all about the characters and their journey. That's part of it, but it's mostly just a plot about, it's more, I guess, realistic, more of a political drama kind of plot. And it really works. So I loved that. I loved the gameplay was so much better than just the random encounters where you just have it's not a turn-based system, a pseudo turn-based system, and you just get randomly encountered, and then you're suddenly flashed, the camera just breaks, and then you go into this instant fight. No, instead you're exploring these worlds seamlessly. And the other thing, it's a proper open world, and there's so much to do in it. I fell in love with 12 completely, even though I didn't 100% it, and the reason for that is that I don't think my emulation settings were all that good, so for instance, when it gets to quickenings, it would always break. So I loved 12, and now I have a similar stance to the other guys in that I don't think Square have made a mainline Final Fantasy game as good as 12, like not nearly as good. Well, I didn't play much of 13 actually.
Good.
So I don't
Yeah,
remember it.
don't worry about
But
that.
13 was nothing like 12. I mean, story-wise, 13 was more similar to 10 and 7 and the like. So
It wishes.
Story-wise, it was nothing like 12. And gameplay-wise, it was also nothing like 12 because, again, it has instance combat and the level design is just completely linear. There's no openness or exploration at all. So 13 was nothing like 12. Now,
when you said you didn't 100% it, did you beat Yzmat? Yzmat, whatever.
No, I didn't.
All right, well, you get to go. You get to not be here. Because Techno, you beat Yzmat, right? Yzmat, Yeezymat, whatever he's called. Hello,
Yzmat.
Techno.
What?
Still here.
Did you beat Yzmat? I'm curious.
I did not.
Did Techno beat Yzmat?
I didn't get that far. Okay.
Is he in? I'm not hearing him. We may have issues.
Okay.
He just chuckled. I can hear him.
Oh, okay. You are in. All right. Maybe I'll edit that out. I
All right,
probably won't.
So back
Anyway,
on topic. After Blue smeared me completely.
I have to. I'm sorry.
When we were learning more about 15, what I liked was that I was seeing elements of 12 in it. So the open world, for instance, and I think we heard rumblings of a gambit system for 15, which never ended up happening.
I
and
wish.
that was kind of disappointing, but I mean, it is what it is. The hunt system that was in 15.
That's in
and then
13.
turned out
That's
to
in
be
13.
like-
That's in 13 too, though. 13 2.
Yeah, I didn't play 13
as well.
too much.
It's
either.
also in Witcher
But-
3, a much better game.
Yeah, so we were hearing things from 15 would make it into from 12, sorry, would make it into 15, and the plot is a little bit more. There is a bit more like a medieval kind of politics involved, but I don't think it's handled quite as well as it is in 12.
I think that's a bit of an understatement.
I still think 15 was a good attempt of a game. Like, I mean, it would have been better if they'd actually finished it. But then again, I don't blame them for releasing it when they did.
I'm bored of 15. We don't need to talk about it.
I still think 15 is
last
decent,
thing
but
about-
12 is definitely much better. So I do think that in the future, Square Enix should make more games like 12. And yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I thought it was a great game. It was very different from the games previously, and it worked. But like, I do think that it's not the best game of its type, which is to say that they could make something better than 12 if they build on that, which they never really did.
Okay.
And it wasn't Revenant. It wasn't Revenant Wings.
It was not Revenant.
Screw
Wings,
that.
No. There was a game called Fortress that they threatened to make, then didn't. And that caused
Yeah, that
some
was
grin.
supposed to be by a Western developer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Square Enix has still
And
never
then that
tried
never
that since.
came to fruition.
It's a real disappointment. They never tried a Western-style Final Fantasy. Or, well, they did 15, I guess. But we don't need to go
that's
through
the
15
interesting
all the
question.
time.
Okay. No more 15. Let's talk about.
Let's talk about,
Anything on
alright, are we done with original game thoughts? I don't even know. Does anyone have any more?
No,
original
just
game
one more
thoughts?
thing.
Well,
Oh, God.
One more thing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So, one more thing. I feel like 12 is the most Western RPG-ish Final Fantasy game. I think it takes most elements from Western RPG, and I think it actually works in that it doesn't take the bad parts of, in my opinion, of Western RPGs.
Its plot is very Game of Thrones, which is now back on HBO on Sunday nights. #winter is coming. #winter is here.
Well, not even just story-wise, like, just gameplay-wise as well, in the openness and the different side quests.
And
Which is not to say the other games don't have side quests, but like the structure that you see in 12 is kind of more similar to Western RPGs.
it's also
Anyway,
main
that's-
character-wise, I'd say, is more Western RPG because the main characters are adults in Final Fantasy 12, except for a couple losers that are on the front of the box.
Yes.
You can largely
the
ignore
thing
them.
I forgot about Final Fantasy 12 is that It's actually hilarious. As soon as the main party gets together, like every time Vaughn says anything or Penel says anything, they're like, "Shut up, Vaughn." And they just keep talking.
Nobody
They were talking before.
reacts. Nobody reacts to what they say in the cutscenes after that. I think there's one cutscene where Vaughn talks to Ash, and that's it. That's the last time he ever interacts with anyone else in the party. It's just like him and Pinello are off in their own little corner, just not doing anything.
My favorite thing is like he confronts Gabranth at one point, and Vaughn is like, "Gabranth!" And then Gabranth just continues his previous sentence.
Gabranth is like, "I killed your king, I killed your father," and then Vaughn's like, "And Rex," and then Gabranth's like, "Who? Who the hell are you?"
Yeah, more or less, like, I don't think Vaughn and Penella really need to be there. And in fact, the game is even aware of that. Like, the game even has this point where Vaughn's like, "Oh, I don't even know what I'm specifically here for. I'm just trying to find my own way." It's like, we don't give a fuck what you're trying to do. Like, we have Ash's story so much better, right? Like, Ash, it's the game's basically Ash and Bosch's story, except
Balthier.
like when
let's not forget Balthier.
Yeah.
No, okay, so that's what I was gonna say. Like, Balthier, like, technically he's still just a witness to this whole plot, but with him, it actually works. Like, it actually makes sense how he's like carrying on. Yeah, like he has his motives and everything, and like when he does chime in, like he has something important to say, and like he adds a lot to it. Vaughn and Penello do not add anything.
I mean, I think Penello has less minutes of dialogue than the silent protagonist from Persona 5. I wouldn't be surprised.
You have a lot of dialogue in Persona 5, actually. It's like select choice.
But
are you okay?
He
Did you just die? I heard someone's head slam into a microphone. Are you alright?
Oh no, that was basically I'm on a Chromebook right now and I hit the Chromebook.
Alright. Also, I'd say Balthier and Ash, is there a love story there? I've always kind of seen one, but it never goes anywhere.
Well, there's like a thing with the ring, and
she does scream his name quite loud at the end of the game, if you know what I mean. As in, she's worried that he's going to die because he saves Rabanastre. It's very nice of him.
Yeah, because he's the hero.
He is. He's the leading man.
And he's got his trusty sidekick,
Chewbacca. One of the most badass characters in the series. I don't think they've made a better supporting character other than maybe Auron.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Yeah.
He's up there.
Yes.
We're doing Magicite Madness 4, and I figure Balthier should win this one.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm just saying.
I hope Tifa wins, but yeah.
No, Tifa shouldn't
win.
win.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I would not be mad if Balthier won.
In case you don't know, Tifa is Technobliterator's favorite character for a couple of reasons.
For all time. Yes,
for exactly 2 reasons.
No, she's in my top 3. She's in my top 3. The other 2 are Auron and Kafka, who I also want to win the Magicite Madness for.
But those characters don't have boobs at all. How can they be your favorites?
Because I like Tifa for more reasons than just that.
I don't understand you. Anyway, Final Fantasy XII is, I think, everyone's favorite RPG ever, and if you don't like Final Fantasy XII, you can get out. Simple as that.
Yeah, I agree.
No, as I alluded to, there were some people who didn't like 12 that much because it didn't do it for them.
And they're not here.
Yeah.
They're not here and they're wrong.
Well, all right, in all fairness, the combat is kind of automated, and I could understand how maybe you wouldn't be down for the very Shakespearean dialogue, and the characters are kind of hands-off, because really most of the action happens in the Empire. If you're looking for a very anime story, you could play Skies of Arcadia. If you're looking for something that's maybe a bit darker, only PG-13 dark, Final Fantasy XII is a good blockbuster for you. Anyway, we should probably move on because we have a few more subjects to talk about, like the remaster, which we haven't discussed at all. So, how's this remaster look and play? What do you guys think?
Okay. Do you want me to go first or Scathe?
So I'll go first.
I think Scathe is going first. He's very forceful about this.
Yes, I'm going first.
Okay.
You're
Cool.
as the former host of this podcast, I get first dibs when we talk first. So, in terms of the graphics, I think the remaster is actually It looks much better than the Final Fantasy X remaster, in which it was involving Tidus, who looks kind of like a flat-faced mole. I'm a little disturbed by the Final Fantasy X remaster. The 12 one is actually quite good, I think. The only thing is, I think Penelo's face is a little weird, but Penelo isn't seen very often, so it's not that big of a deal. But the everything looks really nice, and all of the enemies are really, really nice looking. Like the enemy designs, although there are only like 5 of them in the game.
There's a good like 15.
The art design is really nice, and it really shows with this reader. Like they really redid the models. It's not just a texture update. If that makes any sense. Remastered music, actually, I don't like it as much as the original soundtrack, but that's
interesting. Interesting choice.
Okay.
Techno,
it's a little muted, but yeah, okay, yeah.
Techno, you can. I guess your turn. Yeah, go. Have fun.
Yeah. So first of all, I should say that because when I played it originally, I played it on emulator, so I might not have the same impressions. But well, when I have played Zodiac 8 so far, it seems infinitely better than what I played on the emulator. It seems like the graphics they're frankly amazing. Like, I wouldn't quite say they're PS4 quality, but they're about as good as you would get on a PS3 game. Like, they're that good. The graphics are great. There's no real visual, I guess, errors. Even because, again, when you played the 10 remaster, you will see really dated animations, and there are still some very dated character models. You don't really get that with 12 at all. So 12 looks like a modern game completely. I think graphically 12, the Zodiac Age, there aren't that many ways I would improve on it. It's just they've done a great job overall. Music, again, my impressions might be skewed because I played it on emulator, but I actually prefer the music this time around. And one thing we should point out is that when they remastered the music for 10, a lot of the tracks changed drastically. That did not happen with the 12 remaster at all. It just they were just redone.
I think the it's not so bad. It's not so different. I think it's a slight preference. The 10 remaster music is terrible. I think that's.
Yeah,
I disagree.
I'm not a fan of the 10 remaster music either. Well, Technobliterator, not to bully you again, but you like the Final Fantasy VI remaster graphics. So your opinion.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I just don't mind them.
You've defended them.
I defend them because I don't mind them.
All right, Technobliterator. Anyway, I want to say you're my friend, and I value you being here because I've been mean to you this whole time.
It's cool. It's cool. But anyway, to be fair, I do say I prefer the 10 remaster, but that's only because I played the remaster before I played the original version of 10. So yeah, my impressions will be skewed there as well. But yeah, 12 remaster overall, I think they've done a fantastic job from the graphics perspective and from a sound perspective. So yeah, I don't think there's too many ways they could improve on that.
Okay, I guess I'll go then. Just up front, because I never play any of the games we talk about. I've only played this Final Fantasy XII remaster as a demo at last year's Comic-Con. But from what I could tell, it was pretty much a perfect translation of the game. Graphic-wise, it looks like the PlayStation 2 game you remember. You can see that a lot of the textures and a lot of the geometry really hasn't aged all that well. It's very flat. It's definitely a PlayStation 2 game that's been rezzed up, but as people have mentioned, there's really no glitches or anything like that. There was a remaster of an Assassin's Creed game, just last year, that had really bad, embarrassing graphical errors. There's nothing here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that face?
Okay, well, that's Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, that guy with that weird face. That was hilarious. So far, from what I could tell, I've waited a week just to make sure there aren't any glitches being reported, and from what I could tell, this is a basically flawless remake. Square Enix has done a fantastic job with this remaster. In terms of the music, what's that, Techno?
No, I said that is a good point. The 12 remaster is a remaster of a PS2 game, and it looks legit better than the Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah,
on the PS3.
I'd say graphics-wise, it looks like what would have happened if, say, Square Enix had released a Final Fantasy game in, like, 2008. It looks like an early
Yeah.
PlayStation 3 game to me. It doesn't look as good
Yep.
as 13, but, 13 is actually a great-looking game. It still holds up very well. It actually looks better than 15 in some ways, not to bring that up. But music-wise, what it sounds like they did with the soundtrack is it sounds like they got an orchestra to play the original soundtrack with a few differences here or there. Like in the Esper battle theme, there's a bit more ha 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 whatever in the background. But it sounds like they just recorded that straight up, no edits of any kind. And it sounds great. And Scathe, I think I hear a cop outside your house.
Yes. Oh, I live in New York City. Come on, give me a break.
Well, yeah, but what did you do to cause this?
Look, it's not easy. It's not easy being a gangster.
Yeah, it's not easy living in your swanky neighborhood of Lower Manhattan, is it? Okay, so the thing that I don't like about the music is not the fact that there's a cop coming after me who's offended by my opinion, but also because it's muted in a way that I don't like the sound mixing, if that makes any sense. But I think it's such a minor caveat. I think it sounds a bit rough, but I appreciate how rough it sounds. It sounds like this is live music being played, and I kind of appreciate that, because game tracks and music tracks always have this, like, pristine quality to it, and I kind of like seeing the seams. I kind of like that you can almost tell, alright, maybe this guy missed this note at some point. That kind of adds a bit of atmosphere. It's so rarely done.
I accept that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
So we should talk about the biggest change, though.
Yes,
I think right?
We should. All right, the biggest change is. All right, well, first let me go and tell you a tale, because this remaster there's a bit of story behind this. All right, in 2006, Final Fantasy XII came out in Japan and North America and Europe. Then Japan got its own version, which is called the International Zodiac Job System, which ironically was never released internationally in any way. This is what Yasumi Matsuno originally envisioned for the game. He wanted there to be a kind of job system in it. That was not able to get implemented for a number of reasons. Final Fantasy XII's development was a bit sketchy here or there. Matsuno wound up getting fired halfway through, very tragic. But this remaster, or that version, did add the job system. So what is being remastered is not the Final Fantasy XII you remember. It's the IZJS. Whatever.
Yep.
Yes, that version. So now, the biggest change you'll see is that your characters do not have an unlimited license board. What they have is an option to choose between one of 12 license boards, and they can pick one of those things, and that'll be their job. So you can be an archer, you can be a dragoon. Wait, what, Techno?
So
you can
you
can
beat
multi-class.
Belias, you can get a second job for that character as well.
Yes.
And that wasn't the IZJS. That's only in the Zodiac Age.
Yes, Yes. Yeah, thank you. I was going to say that, I assure you. So now you get to have two job systems. So what does everyone think of the new job system addition to Zodiac Age, not Lion Wars, Final Fantasy XII, brought to you by Wikia, powered by Fandom?
I think Techno should go first, because I think our opinions are the usual, where Techno and Blue are sit on opposite ends, and I sit somewhere in the middle. So I think Techno should go first.
Pretty much.
I mean, this is how it almost goes for all of our podcasts.
Pretty much, yeah. About all things in reality, too.
Yeah.
Okay. So my thoughts on the job system so far are that, and from what I've seen all over the internet and everywhere, my thoughts on the job system are that it makes the game infinitely better than the original, right? Because when you start out with the original, you give everyone, sure, they've got an unlimited license board, but unlike 10, where there's an unlimited sphere grid and everyone can eventually unlock everything, in 10 everyone has a sphere path, so it's still clear what those characters are going to end up like, at least for the first part of the game. With 12 there's nothing like that, they all have the same identical license board, and they start in the middle, and then they just work their way around and eventually unlock everything. A few problems with that. First of all, you're almost never going to unlock everything in 12, like especially not in just a playthrough where you're going to beat the final boss and not do much of the side content. So
I was going to say, because I unlocked pretty much the entire license board in my playthrough, but I did basically 100% it. I put 100 hours in. That's why I'm not buying the remaster. I don't have that kind of time.
Right, okay. Yeah, but if you're just going to beat the final boss and then like not do much of the side content, then you don't need the whole license board, right? So second of all, when it gives everyone everything, like, and you have a limited number of license points available to you, then, and you know there are so many different ways you can go with it. You have no idea what you're supposed to do. You have no idea where you're supposed to take the board at all. So it's extremely confusing to a newcomer, right? What the Zodiac Age does, or just the Zodiac job system, is more similar to what they do in a Western RPG, for instance, where each character has a class. So, like, let's say you're playing, I don't know, Mass Effect or something, and then you'll have the Soldier class, the Vanguard
for losers. Soldier class is for losers.
or whatever. Yeah, I don't know much about the classes in Mass Effect. I always pick the same one every time. But yeah, you have the different classes which define the playstyle of your character, right? Zodiac Age is kind of similar to that in that every character, you give them a job, and that kind of defines how you're going to end up using them. And okay, and how the license board works for that is it's limited, but it holds your hand a little bit better. So, and it's laid out because each license board is laid out completely differently, where the abilities are. So it's laid out in a way that you're going to get them in a much more natural progression, and you'll end up with all the abilities from that job and the second job you pick later. Now, I mean, if you wanted to say this is too limiting, and if you were saying that about the original,
you can let me make my
Zodiac
argument
job
first, could you?
No, okay.
You're already preempting what I'm going to say. Well, all right, just argue with yourself. I don't even need to be here.
Okay. No, I'm just gonna say, like, maybe the international version was a bit more limiting, but Zodiac Age, now that you can get a second job, I think that's great. Okay, so I think it's not limiting at all, in my opinion. I find that the job system gives each character everything they need to do, and it gives them a defined role, which is very useful for setting up gambits. But also, since everything's a lot more powerful now, and for instance, there's no damage limit anymore, it's not like you'll need to give everyone, like, you know, the millions of different magics. Like, you won't need to give everyone the different techniques, and the system allows for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one thing we could talk about fixes, because magic actually was fixed for this.
Yes.
We may.
Yes,
get
that's
back
later.
that.
This is after. It's after, yeah. This is just job system only.
Alright.
But yeah, so I just find that the job system makes the game so much better, it makes it so much more fun, and it gives your characters a defined role. It's really interesting to strategize what kind of team you'll make and what jobs you'll give them and how you'll set it up. And I just think that makes the game so much more fun than in the original.
Okay.
Also, I really like the fact that just a quick thing. I just really like the fact that like a lot of equipment and a lot of the spells that were useless in the original are now very useful. But yeah, Scathe's turn.
Okay, so I'm gonna take the middle path as always. I think
The
that
centrist.
I like, yes, radical centrist. I like that. I like that. I like it. I'm not in love with it, in the sense that I having played the original a lot. It's fun to play a new version of the game, and I wouldn't have bought it if it was the same thing again. That wouldn't have been interesting to me. But since it's a new version of the game, I was interested and I picked it up. I like that it makes every character useful in their own way, because in the first version, in vanilla, Fran is useless. Fran will never be useful, no matter how many points and stuff you put into her.
I made her useful.
But she's useless.
No, she
She's
was useful for me.
She's objectively worse than all the other characters.
It doesn't matter what's objectively worse. I made her better than the other characters.
In the Zodiac job system, there's a way to set her up that she's just as useful as everyone else, because everyone only has specific things laid out for them. I like that you can have multi-class. You can get all the jobs. You can use all the stuff in the game. Because in the original version, you can only do a single class, which sucks. Because then like half the stuff in the game you can't even use. So that's lame. But since you can multi-class, you can use everything, which is nice. But on the other hand, I wish they just included the option for people who wanted to play the game like the original format. I don't know why they didn't just include it. Like, why is it not there?
Because it's massively rebalanced around the job system.
They could have left it in, honestly.
They could have just left the original version in. They don't need to change everything, right? They could have added
and then everyone would just play the original version, and it would be massively broken.
Who's to say that? No, well, actually, you know what? I think there is enough difference in content, because one thing that no one cares about is that the chests have been completely rebalanced. And
they have did that.
Enemy spawns and all kinds of various technical, boring crap that only people can find on the Final Fantasy Wiki, brought to you by Fandom Powered by Wiki.
Oh god.
Yeah, all that.
I actually really do.
Sorry, I was speaking over you. Are you done, or can I?
No, I'm almost done. I really like the rebalancing, actually, but that's for later. And the second thing is, I actually think I disagree with Techno and say I think it is more punishing for newcomers than the other version. Because if you mess up and you give, like, Bosch a mage job, I don't know why you do this, but if you're an idiot and you give Bosch a mage job, you're locked in. So if you make a mistake like that, you can really screw yourself over. Anyway, I'm done.
Okay.
You have to try really hard to make the game impossible to beat with, like, choosing the wrong jobs. Like, you can give Bosch a mage job and you'd still get through the game fine.
Yes. Okay, I guess it's my turn. Alright, as I've said, I am not playing this version, but that's fine. I have studied this version quite a bit, because there is a wiki that I think I edit, or at least I did at some point. So all of the information and all the jobs and what they get, go to the Final Fantasy Wiki. I highly recommend it this time.
Powered by Wiki.
This is the one thing I don't like about this, is the fact that you actually need the Final Fantasy Wiki brought to you by Fandom Powered by Wikia for this game, because
not really.
In order for you to make an intelligent decision about which jobs should go to which character and what all the jobs do, you really should go to the wiki for this one. But the thing is, it's not as much of a hard job system as like Dragon Quest 9. I don't know why I said 4. That's totally wrong. Dragon Quest 3. That is a job system. It's not as hard of a job system as, say, Final Fantasy V. That's one you guys recognize. Or even 10-2. Though 10-2 is a lot more flexible. Or Bravely Default, a game that everyone loves. And this one, it really looks like just about all the jobs can do almost anything you need them to do. They all seem to have healing magic. They all seem to have offensive skills. Everyone seems to learn the abilities that boost your MP, which are really the most essential ones for this game. Like, those really are the most important ones. The ones where you get MP every time you're hurt and every time you hit something. All the other licenses are half as important as those ones, and all the jobs basically get them. My one problem is I don't like being limited. Because I played 12, and I like the way I played 12. I played 12 in a very specific way, which was, I don't like Vaughn and Penillo, so I didn't use them. They stayed in the back of the party. Yeah, they stayed in the back of the party. I used 4 party members, and Vaughn and Penillo were only used for one thing, which was clearing traps. Anyway, I don't think this job system is that bad. Because, anyone could basically do anything. Really, Bosch, even if you make him a mage, he'll adjust effectively. And you can go and make a party that works. You have 2 jobs. So it's not a crushing difference. Honestly, I don't think Final Fantasy XII really plays all that differently. It's just that newbies might be overwhelmed by the amount of choice they're being asked to make. And also, this whole change is based around the license board, which I think is one of the worst parts of Final Fantasy XII. Because generally, I don't like these kind of visual leveling up graphic systems. It's totally unnecessary as far as I'm concerned. The license board is something they could have removed from Final Fantasy XII almost entirely, and the game would have been better for it. But
I
anyway,
actually kind of agree.
yeah, so I think it's maybe a 5% negative. But that makes Final Fantasy XII go from 200% of a great game, one of my top 10 ever, to just 195%, which puts it down below maybe Final Fantasy IX, roughly. So, yeah, it loses maybe one spot. But that's fine. So,
Okay.
I think it's alright. I'm just not personally interested, and they have not gotten my $60, because I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn. That's why. Singularly.
Okay, so first of all, Horizon Zero Dawn is a very good game. That's a very good choice.
Yes.
It's a great game. I recommend everyone pick that up. Like, if you're interested in Final Fantasy at all, then you will be interested in Horizon Zero Dawn. It's got much of the same things you love about Final Fantasy in that game. Okay, alright, so second of all, the Zodiac jar system is not nearly as limiting as you are making it out to be.
What was I just saying?
You were saying that
That's
might be
basically what I was
limited.
saying. It wasn't that bad,
So
honestly.
you said you don't like being limited, and you like the fact that you can have 4 characters who are useful, and then 2 that spring traps. I actually do the same, except I have 3 characters that are useful, and 3 who spring traps,
Wait, who
Right.
don't you use?
and that's with. I don't use Penelo, or Van, and I don't use Fran. It's nothing against Fran, it's just the fact that I like using the same 3 over and over and not having to swap someone in to constantly have to level them all the time. Basically. Yeah.
You disappoint
So,
me. I like
it's not
Fran.
nearly as... No, I like Fran. She's cool. But the other 3 are so good.
Yeah, Chewbacca's my
Anyway,
favorite
so...
character.
Yeah, Bunny,
so
Elf,
the
Chewbacca. She's a great character.
yeah, I mean, she's cool. But, so, like, the Zodiac job system is not nearly that limiting, I think, like, and I don't think it's nearly as much of a burden as you're making it out to be, given the fact that the original has the Zodiac treasures, right? Which is, if you pick up the wrong treasure, then...
Okay, yeah,
And
we can move on to
we're
general
making-
yeah.
gameplay rebalancing.
Yeah, that's
No,
our
I'm just saying,
last.
like...
That's our last
No,
thing
I'm
we
just
gotta
saying,
talk
like,
about.
if you want to criticize... I'm just saying, if you want to criticize the job system for, you have to look up stuff online. Well, kind of have to do that as much, if not more, in the original game. So, and I just think that it adds so much in terms of, like, strategizing which kind of jobs are the best. But even if you never do that, it's totally fine. The game doesn't punish you that much for it. And if you're logged in to jobs, you have to try really, really hard for those jobs to stop you from being in the game. And you can probably still have suboptimal jobs and beat Yasmat, honestly. But yeah.
Yeah, I would probably make everyone a knight in my playthrough. I'd have
No, I don't think that's a good idea.
I'd have everyone have knights because I like swords. That's just the coolest weapon. They're the
Oh.
best weapons in that game.
Well, you can do that, but I don't
Well, speaking of
recommend that.
swords and rebalancing,
Yes,
they
that's what
made-
I was trying to get to.
Yes, they
Part 5.
rebalanced almost everything. Yes, they rebalanced almost everything in the game, and I actually really like how they rebalanced the game for the
Yes.
most part.
Sing us a song.
Basically,
Scathe
made
Mo.
almost.
Go ahead, tell us all about it.
Um,
Go for it.
I can't. No.
Why not?
I was singing a song. Okay, well, maybe not
Yeah.
a song. I'll do it in normal. I'll do it in normal.
Can you do it in
speaking
iambic
tones.
pentameter?
I'll do it as William Shatner.
Okay. No, don't do it as anything. Do it as you. Because let's try to get through this last section and wrap this thing up.
Yes.
So the great things they rebalanced. They removed the bullshit with the Zodiac spear chests.
Yes.
It's gone. Totally gone. Great. It's the stupidest thing ever in any place of game. If you open some random chest, you lose the best weapon in the game. It's dumb. They made almost all the magic better in every way. They raised the hit rates and almost all the status effects and things like that. And you get some stuff earlier than you did before, and they made a lot of the magic a lot better. They made almost every weapon class better, and they nerfed the swords, so they're not as good as they used to be.
Oh,
Um,
I'm disappointed. I like swords.
Yeah.
Uh,
Also, mages are not truly
Um,
useless in this game because of mist.
Well, no, the problem
But,
with Final Fantasy XII was the It had a really bad problem with loading spells. I don't know if that was a glitch or an actual design issue, but it can only handle one. It can handle one offensive spell at a time. So, especially in the Exodus fight, if you tried to use magic against him, the game would almost lock up, and you'd be stuck there for a minute with no one doing anything.
Oh, that happens in the original? I thought that was just with my emulator.
No, that happens in the original. No. They fixed that. It's gone.
That's actually a thing that was in the original version. But that's apparently been fixed.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yes, it makes magic completely useless in the original version after a certain point.
Yeah.
But,
another reason magic is useless in the original is that it's possible to, if you use your quickening or if you summon something, I mean, summoning was useless anyway, but if you use your quickening, then you run out of MP. Doesn't happen in the original. You have separate mischarges. No, not there. Doesn't happen in the Zodiac version. Gives you separate mischarges.
Something is no longer horrible in this version as well. From what I can tell.
Is it usable summoning?
Summons no longer suck.
Yes, because you can actually control the stupid summons.
Okay.
So you can just make them run around. You can control them. And they can do whatever you want them to do, as opposed to running around and being stupid.
Yeah, because they were totally useless in 12, and that started a really bad tradition in Final Fantasy games where summons were just not any good.
Yeah.
They are
also
actually
because
quite
of the
good.
job system. Yeah, because of the job system, like weapons are much more useful other than just swords. Like it's not just that they buff the other weapons, it's also the fact that because you can't just give everyone the licenses for every single weapon, it basically means that you're kind of forced to choose more different weapons, and that gives you a lot more variety, in my opinion, in terms of what you will end up equipping. So if someone's a machinist, then you're going to end up using guns, and they don't suck this time.
If guns are no longer useless.
There was one good gun in 12. I can't remember it though. The Formalhaut? Was that the one?
Yeah, it's the
that
last
one was really darn good.
Yeah. Also the Zodiac in the original was just the best weapon, whereas there are now different ultimate weapons
for every weapon class.
Yeah.
Oh, I should explain what you're all talking about with the Zodiac Spear, because possibly no one knows. Maybe someone's listening to this and they've never played a Final Fantasy game. I don't know why they do that, but that person could exist. So anyway, in the original Final Fantasy 12, there were 4 chests. Completely random chests that if you happen to open them, the Zodiac Spear, the best weapon in the game with 150 attack, would not appear in its best spot, which was a random chest in the Necrohole of Nalbadis. Am I correct?
Yep, that's right.
Yes. Oh, I remember my walkthrough pretty well. So, anyway, these chests were basically in starting areas. One was across the street from Old Dallin's house, which is a place you will visit in the first hour. Right? Yeah, if you have no idea, you won't know. Oh, what the hell? I think we lost Tech now.
Anyway.
We can go on without him.
But yeah, it's in the first... Oh, he's back. Okay, anyway, in the first...
He's muted,
the first area...
Hi, Techno.
He's back.
Sorry. Okay, carry on.
Yeah, literally in the first area, you can, one of them's across from Old Dallin, and, one of them is, It's just a terrible system. I don't know why anyone thought it was a good idea.
But the one thing is, you won't know that you've missed it unless you had a walkthrough. If you were playing without a walkthrough, there's no way you'd be able to find it in the first place. So you really weren't losing anything, because there were plenty of other great swords in that game. Now I think it's just a 1 in 1,000 chest in a high-level dungeon, which is so much better.
No. Oh, in the new version, you just get it from a side quest. You get it from the rare game side quest.
Oh, really?
They just give it to you.
Oh, that's kind of boring.
Yes, you just do the rare game side quest.
You have to do all the rare game now?
No, I think it's if you give 10 trophies to the weapons guy, he gives it to you.
Oh, that's actually
something like that. I don't know exactly.
That's way too easy. That can't be right. It's way too.
But it's not as good as.
What?
It's not as good as it used to be.
Okay. Oh, they nerfed it.
Yep.
They did nerf it, and also, but the good thing about spears and poles now is that they actually they're ranged weapons now, weirdly, so they can hit flying enemies, which is great because telekinesis is earned at the last 5 seconds of the game.
Oh, I forgot really all about telekinesis. Oh my god, that was the worst thing. Yeah,
yes, that's one of my favorite things.
Coming back to me. Oh my god, that was the worst. Yeah, we don't need to get into that. That's just some technical nonsense.
Which was
basically in the game they're flying enemies who are like maybe 5 feet above the ground, but you cannot hit them with physical attacks.
You
So
have to
get
use
this
magic.
technique,
Yeah.
magic or ranged weapons, or you get this technique called telekinesis, which you get literally in the last town in the game.
Or
which is the port
it's like
city.
it's impossible to find.
Valfaheim.
Yeah. Even the
It's like
license
literally
is
the
all
last
the
time
way
in
in
the
the dark corner of the license board with like 200 cost. It's nuts. Yeah, that's a constant problem, really.
But they fixed that. It means you just give poles and spears and they hit range. It's great.
All right. Yeah.
Yep.
And the best thing they added, the last thing I'm going to remember is they added a fast forward button to the game, which is excellent.
yes.
I love that.
Yes.
The best edition of all time.
Yes.
They added a 4 times
So-
or 2 times and a 4 times fast forward button.
Yes. So if you are
there is no way
speedrunning,
a playthrough.
sorry.
Yeah,
I
so there's
spoke
no
over you.
way a playthrough will take 100 hours anymore because of that. Like, it makes but the key thing is it makes grinding so much more fun because if you set up your gambits properly, then you can just set the 4x speed on, and you can just run around the area, and like the gambits will mean that you're basically automatically hitting all the enemies. And if you set them up right, they're not casting spells that end up healing the enemies. I've done that before. It was a bad idea. I ended up casting fire on the balloons, like which is the bomb enemies. Ended up healing them. Wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, that sounds
But
bad.
basically,
Tragic.
but basically, if you just set up the gambits properly and you turn 4x speed on, you can grind so much faster than in the original, and it makes it a much more fun game because it makes originally very tedious tasks a lot less tedious. It also means walking like between the different areas is like a lot easier now. So whereas in
goddamn walking in this game.
Yeah, you can
yeah,
get
so
to
in the original, like,
you can get to the Great Crystal without spending 3 hours in Guravagan.
yes,
spend
Don't
20
talk to me
minutes
about the
now.
Great
Like-
Crystal.
yes. Also, like, so in the original, when you get to Mount Bert Omises, and then suddenly it says, "Oh, by the way, you need to go to Nalbina Fortress, and then you need to go a massive way above that." Like,
Okay,
basically, in the original,
that's like 10 hours of you walking. It's awful.
yeah,
I mean, it's not
like in the
awful, but
original,
it's
it would
just-
be hours of walking,
Yeah.
and it would also, but you would just end up using a teleport stone, right? I think everyone did that.
Well, no,
These
you
days,
always
you
want
can
to
just-
fast travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, but these days you can just 4x speed on and walk the whole way, killing enemies along the way because you'll have your gambit set up properly, and then like it won't take you that long, and you'll also be grinding quite a bit. So I mean, it's just so much better. Like 4x speed is just amazing.
Oh, and they added an improved
And-
minimap to help you navigate when you're doing that for
Yes, yes, and that's only in the Zodiac Age. That wasn't in the Zodiac Jobs
Wait,
International
what's the
version. there.
improved minimap?
If you press L3, it gives you the full map, like superimposed on the screen, so you can navigate the entire area really quickly.
Yeah,
Is
it doesn't
is
pause
that
the game.
automatically given to you at the start of every location, or do you still have to fill out
Yep.
the map per?
You,
Really?
you have to fill out the map or buy it, but you can. You still have to do the same thing you did before and buy the map or find it.
Okay.
But you can just press the button, and if you want to navigate quickly, like if you need to like walk up and down the Estes stand, which you need to do like a million times, you can just press L3, turn on 4 times speed, and you can just make it across there in like a minute, the whole area.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
so
gonna
much
sound-
better.
I'm gonna sound like the craziest person in the world, but these are all changes I kind of don't like. Because I like the fact that Final Fantasy XII forced you to have to go and take your time and live through Ivalice and go back and forth. Because, you know, it's a game. Don't you want to play it? I don't know. It's all this skipping around. I
Well,
don't
you
like
want to play it, it's just making it a lot less tedious.
it.
And so,
I think-
whereas you were saying earlier, oh, it took me 100 hours to 100% the game, now it'll potentially only take you 25 hours.
No! That's no
Well,
fun
no, not
at all.
25 hours. No, it's
Well, it's
the fast forward button it's too fast for you to use when you're just exploring an area for the first time, because you can't really use it. It's best.
Yeah.
It's mostly just used when you walk around Rabanastre for like the 1 million.
it is
time.
completely
Oh yeah,
optional.
that got on my nerves. Yeah.
That's what I have. That's what I use it for. It's not for exploring your areas, because you go too fast, you bump into walls,
Yeah.
and get killed.
For me, it's not for exploring new areas, and it's not for fighting bosses. It's just for grinding.
Yeah,
and for
it's
walking through areas that would otherwise be tedious to walk through is what I
yeah,
use it for. But
yeah,
it's
it's for when
purely
you revisit
optional, so
areas.
if
And
you
you just want
don't
to get
like
you
it,
just
you
want to
never have
get
to use
to a
it.
place. Yeah,
Yep,
'Cause,
purely optional.
shut up.
So it's just a good change.
All right, because like I agree with like going back to old locations. Because by the end of Final Fantasy XII, I was left with such a burning hatred of Rabanastre. Like at the very end of that game, when the
Mm.
Bahamut's
I know,
about to
it's
fall
awful.
on the city, I wanted that city to fucking burn. I was so tired of walking around that little hook you got to go to get to the advanced clan for all your best hunts. That
I know
killed
there
me.
should be a
Yeah.
teleporter in front of that goddamn place.
Yeah, I know.
There isn't one. Why?
I still
Yeah, it
feel
doesn't
like
take long to walk.
I still feel like all the tedium that you're complaining about, like all those 100 hours, are all things I value. I don't know. I don't know. Like you
No,
know,
I think
eh, fine, whatever. You know, you kids with your attention spans and your iPhones and your Final Fantasy 15s. You know,
I think-
I don't get this generation anymore. You know, you can have your teleporters and your fast speeds and whatever. Have fun. All right. I guess we should lead to final thoughts then. If anyone has anything else they need to say before we wrap
Yeah.
this thing up.
Who's going first?
I
You should
just
go first.
I just kind of hung this out in case anyone really did have anything else to say because I think I'm out. I'm out of stuff.
yeah. I don't really have much else to say, but yeah.
Yeah.
My only final thoughts are that I think everyone should pick up the Zodiac Age if they have the slightest interest in Final Fantasy at all, because 12 is, in my opinion, the best game in the series, and this, in my opinion, is by far the best way to play it now because of the improvements that we've mentioned, and I really wish Square would make something more similar to Ivalice, because Ivalice has such a great setting, and 12 has such great and really unique gameplay, and so I appreciate that 15 took some cues from 12, like it took some things from it, but I think it needs to be more like 12. And maybe I would favor 12's gambit and combat system way over the 15 what's it called, action system. I know the 7 remake is going for an action RPG system. That's fine, but I'd rather the next mainline game use something more like 12, and yeah, that's it for me.
Okay. All right. I have one last thing I need to say. This game was directed by Yasumi Matsuno, who, in the preceding years, the last 11 years, he made Mad World and basically like nothing else. So what I'm going to end this with is, Yasumi Matsuno, wherever you are, please come back to us. Please make more games. I miss
Wasn't
you
it
so
made by
much.
Ito?
What?
Wasn't it made by what's his name, Ito, the guy who made
Hiroyuki
the
Ito?
Active Time Battles?
He's still
That's
working
the
for
one.
Square Enix. He's still doing stuff.
I thought he
Matsuno-
directed the game.
He co-directed it. But Ivalice is
Oh, okay.
Matsuno's baby. Like, this is more Matsuno's game than a Hiroyuki Ito game, if there is such a
Yeah.
thing.
Ito was involved like heavily in the international version. I think he directed that. He was involved a little bit in the Zodiac Age, but didn't direct it. Oh, that's another thing. The Zodiac Age was actually made in-house by Square. It wasn't outsourced like remasters, like other, like for instance the 6 and 5 mobile remasters, like they were outsourced. 12 Zodiac Age wasn't. I don't think 10 HD was either.
No, I think
yeah.
10 HD was made in-house, because they took fucking forever
Yeah.
on that. It took them like 2 years to make that remaster.
Yeah,
So-
the Kingdom Hearts remasters, those were made in-house, weren't they?
Yes. But anyway, we will see you all again sometime. I don't know. Maybe we'll come back for Dissidia. We may not have another podcast for a
yeah.
year. We'll find out something. But anyway, everyone,
We'll find
everyone say goodbye to the people. Bye,
Goodbye, people.
Bye, I'll miss you. I love you. Don't leave me.
I agree.